Jugaad culture, hustle culture is actually concocted by, I believe, Illuminati to get us to be slaves again. Jugaad simply means that you innovated nothing, but you somehow found a way to fix things to move forward. There is nothing that you permanently leave behind and found a solution. Let's not celebrate shortcuts. Let's not make poster boys and girls out of that. Even among friends, there is a little bit of rat race that starts, right? Okay, my friend went and bought a BMW, therefore I have to buy a BMW. Though they know each other for a long time, but it almost becomes, kind of competition, which they call it healthy competition. There's nothing called healthy competition among friends. So the fact is that if you get into this nonsense, you start ignoring the important. The important is to look after each other. The important is to understand what you truly want. You have to have the courage to talk to each other and know very well that they are not going to judge you. You're honest to people, you're sincere about it, then in any service industry, your relationship with your clients are very important. I used to go and say that, listen, yaar, मेरे से नहीं हो पाया because creative ने नहीं दिया है, तो I can't show you today. Versus some lies about we are thinking, we worked on it, but we didn't like it, so we just asked them to redo and so give us 2 more days. I used to say that, boss, मुझे भगा दिया उधर से. So my clients started realizing the fact that this guy is not lying. So I started building relationships on the other side of the table.
I'm just overwhelmed today with the emotion because I have a very dear friend from 25 years ago. No, maybe more because I'm married for 27.
More.
So definitely more, 28, I think, 29.
Yes.
And then somebody just resurfaces back after so many years and then you just connect again. And how beautiful is that? So thanks, Anil. I know that life has so many second acts for you, and when I was reading about everything that you've experienced, to the kind of stuff that you have done in your professional and personal life, I didn't know how to actually what should I say, introduce you, but I take the liberty to introduce you as a person whom I knew in college, who was in a gang of boys who was still figuring out. And I want to know about the story from being so clueless to being so focused. How does life happen like that when literally you don't have, no direction to go? All I remember in college was that we used to just take off, sit by, the Nariman Point, all of us just laughing, or take off to some beach and just spending, beautiful time there. And life just happened and it was so beautiful. Nobody would think today me and you will be sitting here on a podcast on this seat to say, okay, so talk about life. So Anil, let me welcome you. So Anil Nair is a friend. Of course, like I introduced everybody, he's a friend. He is former CEO of Saatchi and Saatchi. I don't know what L&K is, but maybe you can explore, tell us better. And now you're a founder of ASN Growth Consulting, and you've spent more than 25 years, in the brand building, in the advertising agencies, and now creating something with 2 ventures itself that you also tried in between as an entrepreneur. You're a motorcycler, you have a big community of motorcycling, so many things. So Anil, welcome. I don't know.
Thank you.
What is left, but please tell us all about you. I'm so keen to know.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, overwhelmed actually. Just I was looking at, generally life and say that, okay, how can someone you just barely spent a year and a half to with evoke such strong emotions to reconnect. I think it's the beauty of life, and that's something that I believe in. I'll talk about it but again, goes to prove my theory that life is relationships. There is nothing more to life than that. So yes, I'll come back to that question. From being clueless to sort of having a handle. I still don't believe that it's fully there. So I've spent close to 27 years in the corporate world in advertising. That's what we all studied. Uh, and I have no idea that I would get to any place because survival was the only thing.
Yeah.
Uh, Way back in 93, 94, when we all came to Bombay, we had no idea what we came for. Some course, something. We were studying, met people. And then initially it was only survival. It's only about somewhere getting the job. And also got friends who are now lifelong friends, and some of them needed looking after. So someone had to earn. So few of us tried to get the bread on the table, and while few of them were still pursuing their dreams. Uh, so started like that. Um, Spent. I mean, again, I would call my life a series of pleasant accidents. Uh, Nothing that I have any unique do or say about what happened. It just serendipity. It just went. Thankfully, I think I kind of am the child of liberalization, where the economy was opening up. All of that worked well, but took some really bold calls. Maybe could have been stupid calls, but now on hindsight, they're bold calls to not to pursue uh, the tried and tested and bet against the odds. Sometimes it's out of desperation that you bet against odds, but you do. I did, and it paid off in most of the cases. So I started off with Mudra, if you remember, and from remember our lunch walks and back,
Yes.
uh, and from there, at some point of time when everyone thought I'm settled in here, I've kind of quit and joined a very small place. From there again, I after some time joined an unknown agency, which later on became a very famous agency called McCann. And when I was absolutely settled in and really was going places, I gave it all up and took another very small assignment. But I thought it was up my alley. That kida of actually wanting to do something different. Somewhere I was maybe afraid of the mundane, afraid of the fact that you get comfortable. Uh, and people do periodically ask me, why do you do this when we least expect you to do this? When we think that you're absolutely settled, and I have no idea. So later on, now I probably find a little meaning in that particular point. That's so kind of moved in. And in 2022, joined my friend, brother, philosopher, guide to start an agency. I don't know what guts we had. Like two of us were from absolutely not from Bombay, don't have the celebrity status attached to us. Um, and started. And again, survival. We had to pay the rent. We have to pay few salaries. We have to take some money home to pay the expenses. So
Yeah.
from there to 2013, and that's the L&K. It's
Oh,
I
okay.
don't want to go into the details of it. It's an agency called Law and Kenneth, which we created by borrowing some names from Britisher and the surname of my senior partner and founder to sound like the big agencies. Uh, it kind of reached probably the largest independent agency status in the country, and we sold it. We sold it to the Publicis Group, which who asked us to merge it with Saatchi and Saatchi, and we started running. I started running the agency. So I Saatchi and Saatchi for me is the Kardashians, right? So they're like the this, and for me, I've only seen them from far and on. And one fine day, here I am running Saatchi in India and South Asia. And later on, it so happened that I sat on the board of Saatchi, executive board of Saatchi globally. So it was like absolutely. So this is, I can't, if I were to, if someone was to tell me that in 1994, when we were standing and applying to agencies and trying to get an interview in, that one day you will do this, I would have absolutely laughed my, stomach out. There's no chance. Where rank outside us, absolutely no chance. We survive. We're trying to figure out. I don't know. You remember the Metro Cafe where we couldn't even afford
Yeah.
dal, roti,
All the
kadak roti and chai, right? That
yes.
was our
Yeah.
state of affairs. And you've been very kind to say a bunch of boys. You used to call us the dirty boys, right?
I didn't want to open
Because-
secrets.
so because the fact is that we used to borrow each other's shirts. The better looking shirt goes to the
Yeah.
the cleaner, relatively cleaner shirt goes to the guy who is going for the interview, and rest of us would borrow. So it's amazing that life um, kind of took me on a journey that I nicely sat on and enjoyed the ride. Of course, it got very very trying challenges, very difficult moments. It happened, but it just like the highs, the lows also came, and it lasted exactly like the highs. Right? It didn't last too long. The lows also didn't last too long. Highs, it didn't. It's just then it became a journey of sorts. And as if someone told me that COVID is coming, and people just accuse me of that. On 31st December 2019, I to shock everyone. I decided early, and few people around me and senior management knew. I kind of gave up on advertising and said that I'm going to try something absolutely new, different. I had grand plans in the sense actually starting a few things. Started a couple of ventures, couple of companies. One of them was the motorcycling thing, which I'll talk about later. Another one is join or put some structure and energy behind the passion of one of our other dear friend called Sheetal Parekh. And Sheetal and me are business partners working on children's edu games called Pretty Geeky. So I joined her. In fact, she threatened me, saying that nothing doing, you're just joining me. Now that I've heard that you quit everything, come join. Okay, so I kind of came on board, invested in that, and we tried to scale up. And lo and behold, March 22nd, everything shuts down.
Yeah.
Life, the wonderful plans, the great plans, all the arrangements. Now I'm going to take time and travel the world and go sit in Himalayas. I'm going to switch off from everything and sit. Life is decided you're going to sit at home. Can't even reach out to people. Can't even celebrate. And quite a lot of friends on that lockdown period. Not the first one, over the second turned had the milestone birthdays, right? So we just had to have Zoom birthday parties and all. It just, I mean, I can't explain. I believe that though it was quite painful, what the experience that all of us went through, probably that is the most accelerated learning curve that I had about life and myself in that 18 months of uncertainty. See, uncertainty is true when you don't know when it hits you, right? At what time? The second lockdown was really worse than the first one.
Yeah.
Right? First one, we didn't know what was coming. Therefore, we got into a lockdown. But the second lockdown, we know the pain of the first lockdown. And man, this one is not going to go away. We thought we are coming out of this, all of that. So it, I had to really dig deep to understand, what am I made of and what is it. It's not because of things that I planned didn't take off. Some of them did, some of them went well, some of them did, didn't, couldn't do because there's nothing physical available. So yeah, so that's the journey in short so far.
Beautiful. What comes to me, of course, I want to start asking you right from there, but I also want to tell you that Saatchi has been a very special place for me as well, because when I quit Bombay from Mudra and I came back to Delhi, Saatchi was the place that I was working at. And
Wow.
My husband now was my boss at Saatchi. And
really?
yes, and
Wow.
he spent a lot
Small
of
world.
time at Saatchi, and then of course he had spent a lot of time at Lintas at that time, and then he was going back to Lintas, and that's when we decided to marry. And then he said, two people in advertising, you think about it, because I've spent 7 years here, and you think about it because you will have to see something. And that's when I started to work with direct marketing of Lufthansa, and then finally I got on to doing mainstream work with them with sales. But I'm just saying that how life happens, and then how Saatchi became a part of my life. And here you are In couple of years, we could have met also, but
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, I've spent Saatchi Delhi. I mean, it's so Saatchi is an illustrious agency with rich history and everything, and even in India for that matter. And it was like unbelievable. So the kind of, I mean, see, imagine 2022, two upstarts, okay, barely touching 30. Uh, 2002, sorry, not 2022, 2002, July, oh no, August 15th, 16th actually. We had an office which is smaller than most of what you call bedrooms in Bombay houses. Two guys and a peon. Is how we started, and from there to run an enterprise with a name board outside called Saatchi, but we had our name in front, so L&K Saatchi Saatchi, with 600 odd people, four offices. It was like it's not even. I mean, it wouldn't even cross my wildest dreams that that would come, and not because I did something outstanding and I'm deserving of that. That's it just happened, and that's beauty. That's the beauty of life. And then from there, it kind of takes you to a point where you think that you are, the cat's whiskers, and you have the wonderful plan, and then suddenly the world shuts down around you, and you have already committed serious amount of investment and money, and you don't know what to do, and you can't even, you can't do anything. It's because your hands are tied. You can't even leave your front door. And thankfully Zoom, so the world slowly came in to escape. Otherwise we were burning the phone lines to figure out what to do. But that's like a life is like a full circle.
So tell me about this. Like I asked you in the beginning, that somebody who did not know where life would be and to where you have, what values do you see that really came? I mean, if you now, because you're really aware of this whole journey, and when you look back, what values have served you along? What has made you Anil today from that Anil?
Okay, so before values came in, there is, as I said, my initial thought process or thinking came from the reptilian brain, which is fight or flight, survival, right? So, to be very honest, I mean, like all of us, like we had people, that particular batch of us, people came from Jamshedpur. I came from Kerala, Trivandrum, then, someone from Calcutta, we and all of you from Delhi. It's like, we came. And for me, Bombay was the first big city that I've ever saw in my life. I mean, I've seen Chennai, I've seen Bangalore. So I like complete, and we were at the, Xavier's, right? At the heart of it. We have VT there, whatever. And Nariman Point, where you see this big buildings and strong, big industrialists, Mercedes cars going. I said, will I even survive in this thing, right? And initially the whole thing is about, I don't know how long will I last here, okay? Because this doesn't look like the place someone like me can survive. Because advertising itself, you have the great Alik Padamsis of the world. Those are like towering personalities that you don't even see them going in the lift. It's just that kind of a myth, the ghost somewhere there. And it was a full personality business where all around. So my initial thing was absolutely about survival. It's about belonging, which comes from a large dose of inferiority complex that was deep down there, saying that no, this is difficult. Let's see how far you can go. And slowly, steadily, life gave you that opportunity that started instilling some sense of confidence, right? But what I realized is, and the kind of feedback I was getting is from the people around me saying that, hey, you're sincere in what you do, okay, and you don't have no pretense, okay, you're absolutely raw, but you're honest and you're sincere. So these two things are working well. So I didn't. Nobody thought I was the harami or manipulator, whatever this thing. And we have had lots such characters for people to kind of compare it with. So somewhere the simple small town guy who's really busting his ass and saying things as it is, versus people who belong to blue-blooded race, sitting on the other side and contemplating about what the next step is. So I think that not because it was see the other one, I didn't even know how to do it, right? I didn't know even how to fake it. So I didn't do that because it didn't come to me naturally. And then later on, I realized, okay, this gets you genuine connections. Just gets you're honest to people, you're sincere about it. Then in any service industry, your relationship with your clients are very important. And they start seeing through the fact that I used to go and say that, listen, yaar, मेरे से नहीं हो पाया because वो creative ने नहीं दिया है. So I can't show you today. Versus some lies about, we are thinking we had worked on it, but we didn't like it. So we just asked them to redo and so give us 2 more days. I used to say that, boss, मुझे भगा दिया उधर से. So my clients started realizing the fact that this guy is not lying. So I started building relationships on the other side of the table, and it started working. And somewhere, some bosses liked me, and each of my journey out of each agency is with the boss. I'm joining here, you come, right? On my own, I didn't take. So that's why this, brave decisions was not mine. Brave decision is my faith in my boss and his faith in me. Saying that banda acha hai, I'll take him. So each journey happened like that. And then, they didn't remain bosses, they became friends and, business partners, all of that. So that's what I think it carried me forward. And I think I was not an advertising guy in the classic sense of being an advertising stereotype guy.
What is that?
Even today, which is probably larger than what you are, with a whole lot of who buys into the whole idea of an imagery and all of that. I never even tried. I probably my Delhi office had a small secret. He doesn't dress like a CEO. Okay. Initially, the whole thing was, because when I used to come to Delhi and, people with half my rank or whatever that is, they look so dapper, man. They're walking around with the best finest of suits and all of that. And I actually asked them, "Kahan se bana yaar? Matlab lovely yaar, good cut and all that stuff." And I used to follow the chair, hearing which brand is it from. So that would have been a couple of tens of thousands on official suit, which is not even a important day suit. So I never bothered. But later on, people started liking me for that simple fact that they could come and talk to me. There is no thing. I never had a orderly to bring my chai. I used to go pick up the tea, coffee. Later on, my secretary started having a problem, saying that, listen, yaar, you can't do that because people believe that we are not looking after you. So ab baith jao, man, we'll get it in. So all of that. So somehow I kind of it was very difficult for me to do the other.
No, I'm just saying
honestly
it's so
speaking,
relatable, because I remember my husband was not a typical advertising guy either, because he wasn't ever smoking, going for social, staying back late because he had to just drink with them. So if people actually said, "Are you an advertising guy?" I mean, really? Well, I mean, you have no traits of liking hanging out, so to say. So yeah, I totally relate with you, sir.
So I did all the thing. I smoked, I drank, but I rather do smoke and drink with drank with my friends. So I started hanging around with the same old guy, right? Advertising do happening somewhere. Taj, this thing. No, I'm like, this guy, kya kar raha hai? I'll leave and go sit with them because that's far more comfortable. That's more sitting with them, drinking, talking about it, talking about your vulnerability, talking about your frustration, talking about your small wins was far more meaningful than, oh, what are you guys doing nowadays? Okay, yeah, I can't do that. First of all, my Mallu accent has never left me on all of 30 years. So a lot of people say you still have a very strong accent. I said I probably can't be having a French accent, right? Or a British accent. So I am what I am. So that's the accent that I have. Yeah.
But
so
I'm hearing you after almost 30 years, your accent has changed.
Changed, of course. I came as like raw, right?
Very
I came
refined
like
now, very metro, by the way.
Old. You're kind. You should have said old.
No, it's
So yeah, so that's it. I think I somewhere found the courage to be myself.
Wow.
Okay? Maybe because I wasn't good at faking. I get caught out. Because the worst thing was, so I used to have a lot because I was in McCann Erickson, and when I joined, nobody heard of uh, McCann Erickson, and the kind of jokes about the name itself was funny. That how people call the agency and all, but we started winning, and all international businesses and everything. So every other day you're talking to a person not from here. So you're in telephone calls or whatever. There was no VC then. Two Firangs. So I've seen everyone around me is trying to talk to them in an accent. So
Wow.
I'm saying, "Kahan se aaya?" Matlab, just because you pick up the phone because that's an Andrew from London calling you, then I suppose I can hold it for two lines. Third, you slip back. Then I stopped attempting at all. Because then I realized, okay, listen, there is, Osame from Nigeria who's also on the call. He's speaking in Nigerian accent, no problem. It's very thick Nigerian accent, and he's also a person of same level as me, account director in Nigeria, and we are having, this guy is in. Oh, so what? So I said, why are we Indians trying to try and put on, well, Jim, I just get you. Okay, right, fine. Yeah. Why with you? God, why? That's not way I speak. So I've tried and I failed, and therefore I've realized, okay, let me stick to what I know.
Anil, what I hear also is that, when you said that, I just love talking about how I felt, what I was going through, and that was more meaningful for you. But, most men don't do it. And I want to know, how do you do it? And what can men do better for this? Because there's so much vented up, and we are not conditioned to speak our heart out. You spoke also about not feeling good about your own abilities. You speak about imposter syndrome. It's not easy topics for men to really take claim of. Please tell me.
Okay, so that maturity of being okay, exposing yourself, if you call it exposing yourself, came much later in life to the larger audience. But I'm blessed with some people who are friends who are beyond friends. Okay, quite a lot of them came in that period.
Yeah.
Some of them are, celebrities now. But what we meant, we are even today having a relationship which was from that era. Okay, it doesn't matter what I became, global advertising guy, celebrity director, filmmaker, telecom guru, whatever it is. It doesn't, absolutely not on the table.
And
Okay.
Ruchika now, by the way. Ruchika, I
Yeah.
remember. Like, look at her.
Yeah.
She was my roomie.
So I mean, absolutely. I'm saying, and so the fact is that I'm blessed with the set of people who I could be, and we never talk about achievements and other stuff. It is even when I talk to my dear friend Diaz about movies, I don't talk about. I talk about the challenge that he's going through, or is pain of trying to be himself while trying to deliver something else, all of those things. So it's vice versa. And I don't think men do that often. I've seen even among friends, there is a little bit of rat race that starts, right? Okay, my friend went and bought a BMW, therefore I have to buy and at least a Merc or BMW or whatever the thing. How can we not have all of that? Unnecessary, and they become friends, though they know each other for a long time, but it almost becomes kind of competition, which they call it healthy competition. There's nothing called healthy competition among friends. The fact is that if you get into this nonsense, you start ignoring the important. The important is to look after each other. The important is to understand what you truly want, right? And not go to the club and do nonsense there. You go to the club, you play golf, but you talk about fat rahi hai yaar. Matlab, you have to have the courage to talk to each other and know very well that they are not going to judge you. And I'm blessed. I think God has given me one of the greatest gifts, whether it's my childhood friends or the guys who are now my life support, uh, who's been around. So we could speak, even today. It doesn't matter. We have reached a certain age in life. Absolutely doesn't matter. We just talk about it. And there are people who haven't done it, haven't cut it, who's still nowhere near where some of us have reached. But it's when you come to the ground zero, when you all sit together and talk, sometimes people say it's irritatingly juvenile. You guys are still in your 20s. Okay. Still regurgitating the same thing. But in that same thing, we are reminding each other that end of the day, you are that, deep down, you are that listless guy who came in. Deep down, you are this, guy who came in, and that's what we are. Stay vulnerable. Actually, I really like that fact. And you can't do that with everyone, but you should cultivate relationships which allow you to do that, right? And at least to people you care about, don't fake it, don't pretend, right? Uh, if you have to do that with your bosses and your work colleagues and all of that to, so that they don't take you for granted, you can do whatever it is. But at least to the people close to you, you don't do that. And that's a pressure that I see today. That's why we have so many uh, fatal health issues at the age of 40 and 45. It's cooking up, this bottling up. Right, the amount of nonsense that we have done, many of us should have copped it long back, right? That's the intensity of what we did, at a young age. Probably that is not pressure cooked, like a pressure cooker lid on top, because of your success and achievement becomes this very strong, that lid on top, which doesn't allow the steam to come out. And its steam has to come out, not in any other way, but in terms of sharing, in terms of having a set of people you can talk till 3 a.m. in the morning, but you know, not talk about stupid shit that means nothing to anyone, right? About यहाँ गया वहाँ ये किया whatever. ठीक है यार, I'm sure you are capable of doing that and more. That's out of the table. But talk about what was your challenge? Bata. Your challenge with relationships, your challenge with having with your family, maybe at work, but not about nobody's going to solve you a work related problem, but they can certainly let you find your own solution by talking to them, right? So that's something that it's super important to have that. Even if it's one, it's fine, but genuine hona chahiye.
Mostly, I have seen in when people come together, especially men and women mostly trend towards how's life, what's going on with kids. Men talk about, which property did you buy, where did you invest in, what's going on with Bitcoin, what is going on with the metaverse. The conversations are so different, and I feel the human.
But that's also is, it's because they are under a certain kind of assumption and therefore pressure about the fact that if I don't do this, I'll seem like a loser. I mean, Bitcoin nahi kiya, matlab, 3 years back. Today, if you say Bitcoin kiya, to you're an idiot, right? So I'm saying that is also a counter pressure, right? I mean, how does it matter? Like, the fact is that if who you are at work is how your relationship is going to be judged, then that's not a relationship with anyone, right? As I said, I have a bunch of friends. There is somebody who doesn't even work today because he's not finding enough work. He's as equal and dear to us as the guy who probably have like God knows how much zeros in his bank balance, okay, and recognized world over. Doesn't matter, right?
Because that is unique, Anil. It doesn't happen like this.
I think it's blessing.
Yes, you're very blessed.
A blessing.
Very unique.
Yeah. Because see, I'll tell you one thing. So you have to be naked at some point in your life, right? And everything, and because that helps in a lot. Because there are certain. Because there are enough people that will come when you are at certain places and positions, right? Because you're sitting on a high chair, then it's a social circle that comes. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
But you can't rely on that circle. But the circle is for the chair. Circle is for the position. right? So like someone wants you to buy a car, and if you tell them, listen, I'm not eligible for a loan, they won't ever bother you, right? But the fact that someone says, see what happened, how can I help you, right? That's a very different conversation.
Yeah, so true. So tell me, for today's youth, what trends are you seeing which is different than what you have grown up with, and what is your advice to them?
Oh, okay, advice, my God. And I don't think that they would ever want to hear the word. It starts at my house.
That
Okay,
also.
no advice possible, right? But I was lucky that I was in an industry where there is always younger people coming in. Okay, sometimes I genuinely doubt their real age, so they look much younger, like college kids, and so there's a bunch that comes in, and when you are see, my idea of a boss, big boss, was very different, right? And when I became that, right, there I could see there is okay, that dude that comes and sits in that corner glass thing, right? To that level, then everything else you have to earn from them. So one thing I really like about them is the fact that they don't. There is no reverence to positions. You have to earn with them, right? Whoever you are, right? So the youth believe and have the courage to question, and if you want to really, impress them, and if you want to, you have to have some substance, right? But sometimes what happens is a false narrative also uh, attracts people because they believe that they have substance, because that's a lot of YouTube stars I've seen, influencers and people who have absolutely sucked at business but running amazing millions of YouTube followers, and it's talking crap that will lead you up to absolute yeah but they do have, but I think maybe they lack the judgment of who's talking sense or not at this point of time. But one thing is very clear: just because you hold a title, you sit in certain things, it doesn't. So that's what I've seen. But the problem that I'm having is that they're unwilling to go deep in anything. So even work. I find the challenge with the young generation, and I'm seeing this for the last 15 years. And now it's compounded very strongly because we deal with certain people. The ability to go deep itself is a problem.
So true,
right? Because somewhere education system has all rewarded them disproportionately, because anyone who's above average is 98.99, right? That's the kind of marks they get. So what happens when you get that? What are you signaling to them? Saying that, boss, because there's so much of information available. In my time, the textbook itself was something that you didn't complete, right? To write an exam. Guide hota tha, matlab printed, whatever questions are there. Aaj YouTube videos, how to crack the exam, then this, that, and everything. And so much of revision that is, yeah. And like, and these guys pick this up beautifully. And they're all the time consuming. We never consumed anything except for the absolute physical, right? जो क्लास में बोला गया था उसको याद रखना पड़ता, right? Today it's all recorded, it's all available, and then you have access to the best teachers from all over the place. So इलाहाबाद से पांडे जी physics पढ़ा रहे हैं और क्लास में पढ़ा रहा है, then your father is paid for this thing, and on top of it, if Baiju or Akash or जो भी है उसमें भी हो गया. So you are like, you're like, it's like someone who's feeding you absolute great nutritional food, this thing, versus you having to go hunt for where that food is available and work for it. So that's what one thing has happened. So because of that, the ability to dig deeper, go deep, and do deep work, meaningful deep work, is missing, and that faculty has not developed in them, barring a few, right? They struggle with it, but they are masters of all. ये भी कर सकते हैं, वो भी कर सकते हैं, I'll code, I'll do UX, I'll do marketing, I'll do HR, I'll do all of that, all of that. But HR में deep में जाओ नहीं में होता है. Women को कैसे deal करना है? You put them in a very situation which can explosive. I want to bail out. This is too much stress. Right? Why should I be subject to this? It is the organization's problem. So all kind of nonsense will come because they are not put up. Because the problem begins at parenting. I am so grateful. It took me some time to understand the value of what my parents did for me, is to throw me in the middle of everything and say that, boss, your life, figure out. Okay? All right. But here you are surrounding and engaging them, and because you have a video call, you know your daughter's mood off. I used to call my mom like once in 3 weeks or 1 month after I would receive some letters of threat from my dad saying that next month's allowance will not come unless until you call your mom because she's really pissed. I mean, and then at 11:30 in the night, because the telephone charges are less, 11 o'clock onwards, वो queue में खड़ा रह के बात करना मतलब 5 minute की and what do you do? Everything is fine, all okay, this thing. But here moms are, my daughter is feeling down now. How did you know? You're like, she's in United States studying and you're here. Micromanage the shit out of their life both ways, and that's something which is happening. I think it's just that you got to back off, right? You got to back off and you got to figure out how they can swim or not, and then figure out whether you want to throw a lifeline or whatever. But you just taking their ability out and mollycoddle them, so you can't blame the generation. I mean, see, they're extremely good at a whole lot of stuff. They're very good at a whole lot of stuff, which I can't even dream of in our thing. कैसे कर लेते हैं यार लोग? The factors having a point of view, हमारा क्या point of view होता है, right? मतलब उतना सोचना we we think that it's too much, यार. I mean, they have a point of view on every goddamn thing because it is because they're sharing and consuming, right? They're sharing and consuming, and they're conscious of the fact that other people are seeing it, all of that. So that faculty has developed. It's a second nature for them. So I believe our generation did a disservice to the generation that came later because हमें नहीं मिला, जो हमें नहीं मिला, we will give it, right? So that kind of stuff, they should not struggle. I think struggle is an essential part of human evolution. You denying someone that struggle, you actually, denying them the ability to develop that faculty. If I didn't have that uncertainty period when I came to Bombay, was studying, will I get into an agency? Will I get a job? Will I be able to pay for my, stay and go stay in godforsaken rat hole in Parel with a bunch of people like refugees, with all of us, pulling in all of that, and that life lessons about, okay, boss, your money will only travel so much. You can't take anything for granted. But sometimes I can't even believe how richly we live. Yes. Okay, and that richness of that life came from the experiences, that thing. It's not the money. So today kids go and blow 750 rupees on Starbucks over a 1.5 hour meet with friends. $750, I flip backwards. Even today, I mean, of course, I can afford it. I spend it, but I'm saying, kaise kar lete? They're not earning $750 over a frappuccino and one bloody thing, and it is fine. I just wonder that, and then I realize it's not their fault. It's absolutely their fault because the benchmark is not what it is. It is. So yeah, there is no advice to them. The only request to them is that put your head under water. They're just dipping and coming up, right? Just the beautiful things when you keep your head under water. There's an amazing world out there. That also, that immersion that you do on it, they're not immersing in anything. They're just skimming through that, right? I mean, they can say that, yes, I've also got into water. Okay, what's a great thing? But you haven't seen what is in the water. You haven't immersed into it, right? So that's the only advice. It's just keep your head underwater. It's wonderful.
Beautiful.
We were drowning. No? We were drowning. So there was no problem. Head was under the water, right? There is no other option.
Yeah.
Right. So we had to, come up to just take air and then go, because then that took us far. By the time we learned that and put the head up and think, wow, okay, we came this far. That's beautiful.
But do you believe in this newfound hustle culture, as they say, or no?
In fact, no, not at all. I actually shared in my LinkedIn article, and quite a lot of people responded to it. And some people accuse me also of friendly this thing to say that, there is a saying in Hindi saying, cat ate 1,000 rats and went to Hajj. Now you figure the rest. Okay. I don't think I hustle through my life, but I believe there are few things that we must, and for us, our country to move forward, we need to ban. We need to ban this celebration of hustle culture. We need to ban the role models that kind of get associated with it. Because, hustle is about end justifies the mean. End is important. It takes the beauty of journey, beauty of struggle, beauty of effort, everything out of it. It's always associated with a shortcut, which is not sustainable. You realize that, what? See, hustle culture is celebrated because they want workers for that, right? It is, you will die in the bargain. You are the soldier who's actually been asked to cross the line and get to the other side so that the real army can follow and figure out where all the mines are, right? So that's the hustle culture. Hustle culture is absolute fodder. They're fodder for the whole thing. So, and the startup world, which actually resonated, that is, hit on their bloody face, like punched on their face. Because they realize that nothing is sustainable. So I'm dead against it. I'm dead against the fact that it in any form needs to be celebrated. And I'm just bring down those guys, shoot them in the forehead if need be. And
I haven't heard such strong views. I mean, yes, there are people who say yes.
Yeah, it's corrupting the an entire opportunity. There's another word that I hate from the bottom of my heart. It's jugaad. Okay, jugaad culture, hustle culture is actually concocted by, I believe, Illuminati to get us to be slaves again. Okay.
Wow. Never heard that too.
Look, I'm just saying the conspiracy theory, and so that people hear me clearly. Jugaad simply means that you innovated nothing, but you somehow found a way to fix things to move forward. There is nothing that you permanently leave behind and found a solution. For whatever it's worth, please look at the civilizations like the Japanese culture and all of that. Right? They are where they are, despite the fact that they don't have a demographic dividend. They in fact have a problem. They have a demographic debit that is happening today because they are an older world. They don't have enough youth power. So they're not being able to participate in the current revolution, which is your the next wave of technology, which is AI, quantum computing, artificial, the nanos, technologies, IoTs, and all of that. Because what has happened, there is not enough youth there, right? We have that, and what are we telling the youth? Jugaad kar le yaar. Matlab, you fix things so that you temporarily solve the problem, right? You hustle, which is not the correct way. You're not building muscle, right? So these are equivalent to going to a gym. The trainer gives you steroid and protein hacks, okay, steroid shots that in 6 weeks you will pump up, right? You can have Bollywood do that because they have, they're coming in a movie where you're supposed to bulk up. You need to show that, thing. But please don't ever live in an illusion that Shah Rukh Khan has a six-pack ab. He had for a movie, for a character.
8 packs now, yeah, for this one.
Whatever. Yeah. Correct. But because it's not possible in the short possible time, right? And there are actors or there are stars who are really have that capability, right? So they they are action stars and they've actually eat like that only, don't intelligent. That's sustainable, but that's your lifestyle, right? They sleep at 10 and wake up at 4 a.m. and do 8 hours of gym and whatever it is. But I'm coming back to the simple truth in life that let's not celebrate shortcuts. Let's not make poster boys and girls out of that, because this is linked to what I said earlier, that inability to immerse in anything will deny you life's richer experience. You will be a miserable old person, if you are coming through this path. You're going to be such an angry, annoying old person if you last till then. Because there is a truth. There is a youth. There's a life has three clear parts. When you are absolutely young, when you are little mature, and then you are old. That is also life. And that part of it is going to be an insanely difficult path if you read the wrong textbook and come to that part.
Wow. Tell me, have you heard of that saying? They say that how you do anything is how you do everything.
True.
So basically, when you talk about jugaad, are you the same person at home who doesn't do any jugaad with the BV and to say, okay, let's just, just taper it up and just like keep moving? Do you do that? Because
see, listen, jugaad is about I have managed the situation, right? So it's a very symptomatic relief driven treatment. So for example, if you have an ailment, the doctor is only going to cut the symptomatic part of it and never treat the problem will never go away. It's good for the doctor then, because you're going to go back to him or her regularly. But that's what you do. So as you said, you staple up things and give it. And when it comes off the seam again, you find another way to staple up and do that. You're not also going to solve the problem. Now, the fact is that unfortunately, the narrative is so strongly, hustle culture, millionaire at this thing, billionaire at so and so.
I know that.
Please understand, if you earn $1 lakh a month in this country, you are among
the top
less than 1% of this country.
Yeah.
So you have a recency bias to everything. That's the problem with the youth. They don't understand how much money will travel. 750 rupees for a Starbucks evening is not the reality of life. They don't understand because they believe the recency bias is what they see around them, and they believe and extrapolate it to the rest of the world and country. But unfortunately, the parents are not able to talk to them in the language that they don't understand. Either they come over, "Hamare zamane mein ye sab nahi hote." Yeah, but it's not that. No, look at the calendar, turn and look at the phone and look at the calendar. Date is 2023. So don't say "Hamara zamana." No relevance to that, right? And my father never allowed me to do this, and that's a wrong narrative. You have to find the right narrative with them to make them understand that what is required. Let's not do this, and please, see, my saddest thing is about the media. I mean, today the media is not the one large thing, it's a multi-fragmented. Some platforms are part of media just because they need eyeballs and they need whatever that thing that they can eventually sell to make money, are okay with any idiot coming there as long as the idiot brings eyeballs.
Yeah.
Right? So we have a lot of wrong role models around, right? Whose ability to scream, ability to do that, and talk in a particular way, and do that, but because they don't have the ability to go deep in anything. But they've been celebrated because and I think those are the things that we need a bit more of.
So you have maneuvered the question, but I will leave it to that because I wanted to know more about what you do with your wife at home, but then you didn't answer. You again got back to the youth.
So What do I do with the wife and
बेचारे
all?
यार
Actually,
बच्चे उनके पीछे पड़ गए हो यार तुम मैं तो पूछ रही हूँ तुम घर पे क्या जुगाड़ करते हो बट चलो उसको छोड़ देते हैं अभी हम
I
नेक्स्ट
don't, I don't, I don't, I don't think I'm capable of doing jugaad ever in my life. So I don't think that is something that I did it at home also. See, yeah, I am what I am. He knows that there are certain things that I'm not capable of, and he doesn't even bother.
Nice. Okay. So tell me about your biking journey. Why biking? How did you get fascinated to, and what do you do now?
So that this is all my father's doing. Okay, he's a
Okay.
guy who uh, till he was the the chabi was taken away from him and hidden in one place that he couldn't find. He was riding.
Wow.
Even if the car was there, he wouldn't take it because he will find an excuse in the late 80s and early 90s and all to parking nahi milega. Imagine the world where you know I'm not taking. I'll go on the bike and quickly buy and come back and
Nice.
all. So he always had a two-wheeler. So somewhere that of sitting in the petrol tank when as a small boy whatever. So I have a lot of pictures. I've realized that it's from black and white old one where I'm on a bike and all of that. So that maybe do that. And my wife said, like, even when I never had a bike. Okay, so when I came to Xavier's, I didn't have the money to buy a bike. When I got a job, I bought a bike and I crashed it so badly that I kind of died. Some 18 stitches in the head, all of that. So that should have been the end of my biking life. But I didn't learn. I never told my parents, and my mom never knew that I had such a dear fatal one. But I came back and bought another one. But like all Indian men who get married and be responsible, you just give it away, right? You just give it up and buy the four-wheeler. But every time I heard a bike sound or something uh, um, like that, I just used to turn and look at it. So deep down somewhere there was a calling. And then like all midlife crisis stuff, and when you have good money in the bank, listen, man, I will go back and buy something. So I bought the bike. And then what it really did was, apart from what I thought I can do that, but I started meeting some interesting people. Okay,
Wow.
and I met and I started creating the next set of my friends. Okay, and one thing amazing about it, there are assholes everywhere. Sorry for my friends, but by and large, the community are nice people, or something nice comes out of them.
So true.
Okay, when they're together, so they just the biking community, they're helping each other, doing some good things. Whatever. I said, oh, wonderful. And that's how I met my now good friends, much younger to me, much couple of years younger to me, and my partners in the biking venture. I met them at a ride. Okay, like, hi, what's your name? Blah blah blah. This thing, and then we started chatting, and we started riding together, and eventually, blah blah blah. Kuch karte hai, let's start something. So I had this whole thing about wanting to do something with my life rather than just earn a lot of money and pay taxes to government and cut a check to charity every once in a while to assuage the guilt that you have, right? So kuch karte hai, whatever. I said, when I started the biking thing and I realized, let me put this thing to good use. I see bikers as a community, nice set of people. The world needs help. That a lot of people. Now, how do I put that together? So I created a platform called Goodwind Riding, where bikers undertake journey for a cause, okay, and raise money for that. So it is absolutely a free platform there. If anyone wants to do that, I support them and use Facebook and
Wow.
Insta wasn't there at that time to generate money for a pledge. So I've zeroed in on helping underprivileged children. So a friend of mine was running a NGO helping cancer-stricken children at Tata Memorial Hospital, who come to Tata Memorial Hospital, who practically does it for free, but still it requires certain capital to do the certain thing. So I started doing that, and it just caught fire. Okay, I went on a ride. I said, okay, listen, let me just demonstrate what are this thing, and I went on a solo ride, and I wanted to have. And I told my friend, listen, probably I can collect probably 70,000-80,000 rupees. And those days, pity, there was no connectivity beyond the point. So I went, and on the 10th day when I came back to Manali, my secretary called me up and said, we have X number of money amount that come in.
Wow.
So I went with the ambition of helping half a child, came back helping three children fully taken care of.
Wow.
Okay, that's the kind of money. I said, okay, this is working. So then my friends started doing it. They started collecting it, and in no time, it kind of grew. And then these two partners of mine, now our friends, said, why don't we institutionalize this? Because this is right random. Whenever somebody wants to do it, you're doing it. Let's institutionalize. Let's create a company. So we created a motorcycle touring company where people with big bikes and a lot of money, we take them for tours. Initially started off with India. Now we travel around the world. And whatever we make after meeting our expenses goes to charity, because this is not our primary income, right? I run a consulting firm. I'm a director on a few companies. We invested in a few things. This is not where we're going to make money. We need to meet our expenses for doing the tour and paying the hotels and paying all of that. But what was left over, we kind of, instead of putting in our pockets, we just cut a check to few things. So that is now, with God's grace, and maybe because we are doing something which is good for the world, it's grown substantially. I'm a megalomaniac that way. I wanted to be the world's #1 motorcycle touring company. So there is an ambition for that. And because if that means that I would, from hundreds of children, I can help millions of children. So it will happen, yeah. So the world will bring it to me. Bring it to me, because I'm not making money on that. I mean, there's no harm in making money. There is, I'm not substituting this. You have to be rewarded for what you do. But the fact is that your growth, if it is good for the world at large, that growth has a purpose, and it'll come true. If your growth is about buying the fourth apartment and fifth apartment, it doesn't make sense. So that's the motorcycling thing. My wife accuses me of designing a business so that I can ride all the time and take off whenever I want to, and all the time live in a motorcycle. I can't deny the
I can't deny this is true, right? I can't deny
that is true too. Yeah, this is what I want. So yeah, I actually am living my passion and generating revenue from that.
And then that's one part of this is going to be part 1 of our interview, because there's so many things I haven't asked you. And
I know.
But I want to end this one with, of course, the most important question for this podcast, because it's a second act podcast, and I have to ask you. And we have 3 minutes, by the way.
Wow, okay.
What's your second act, and what does this name bring to you?
So my second act is exactly what I told you. Is about leaving the comfort and the reward of so many years of hard work. Now I should be playing golf every Sunday and collecting my salary and my bonus and all of that. My second act is actually to say that, okay, listen, I have so much more to give, so much energy I've been blessed with, energy not in physical alone, to go out and make a difference and build something new. I believe a country is in an inflection point where it allows it to do. So for me to do the new, don't fear the unknown. Don't be stupid to jump off the cliff because you don't fear the unknown, but back yourself up for what you're truly capable of, and see it through, because good things happen when you try the second. And I'm saying, I believe there will be a second, third, fourth, fifth, because you should never give up. And I don't believe in the concept of retirement. So at one end, I'm retired. Okay, retirement from waking up in the morning, going to one place to work, and collecting your salary on first of every month, and doing that, to being the master of my own time. I decide what do I do from 12 o'clock today. Nobody else can decide that. I decide that. I think that's the greatest victory that I have been able to do, master of my own time. It's not easy, because that ping that you get on your phone from your bank with your salary has been credited is an amazing drug that I had to like really fight to rehab again.
It
From
is.
it's a very tough one when you don't know where your that pot of thing is coming from. But it's, I mean, once you get out of it, you realize, oh, this is fantastic, this is fine, right? It's, don't be afraid of the fact that it's not going to be you. I mean, human beings are capable of so much more. We undersell ourselves. We
So
believe that we are eventually the vice presidents that we've been entitled, or CEOs that we have been entitled. No, we are far greater than that. The second act is exactly that.
thanks. And what comes to my mind is that there is enough to be discovered till we call it a day. And I think I want to sign off here, but this is not a wrap up. I will come back with the second one with you because there's so many questions not answered. But with the paucity of time, we will do a series 2 if that's okay with you soon. And
absolutely fine. I blabber a lot. I realize. I mean, you must also realize I blabber a lot. But that's my nature. Right now I feel like sharing. So I share, and thank you so much for the opportunity. I really, really, and it's so. I feel free to share that with you because I know you. For you, it's me from the 90s, right? That's the same me. So I'm absolute no pretenses here.
Yes, thanks, Anil, and let's fix another time for the second.
Absolutely done. Yeah, looking forward.
Thank you. So this is yet another incredible episode of Discover Your Second Act. I'm hoping that as me, you are feeling very, very excited, enthusiastic, and learned about all the nuggets that came out. So follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, and of course, until next time, keep discovering your second act.